Hello again, welcome back. Something's been annoying me for quite some time, and I thought I'd pass it on to you today because you're the one that's listening. And so, as I'm speaking and thinking today and going about my day, again, I'm struck with the thought that I continue to waste my life thinking about politics. Now, this is obviously a political channel, and so I'm going to comment on politics, but part of political thinking surely has to be, what's the appropriate amount of time that I'm to spend watching, taking in political content, and continually having to rerun the same arguments time and time again in the media. So, if I was to say to you, I've got a question here. So the question is, do you have any idea at all about who you're going to vote for in the next election? And if that election was now, who would you be voting for? Now, as I said that, you already know who you're going to be voting for, and you already can see why the reasons that is and what's going on. So there's nothing to think about there. You know who you're going to vote for, and it's probably not going to change. Unlikely you're going to have a Damascene conversion anytime soon, and what's going to happen, you're just going to suddenly realise that you were in fact a Tory when you've been in the Green Party all your life. I mean, these things do happen periodically, but it's probably not going to happen to any of us anytime soon. So the question remains, what political power do you actually have? Where is your political power? And the answer to that is you will never, ever, ever have any impact on politics at all. You could talk about it for the rest of your life to every single person that you ever met, and none of that would matter one iota to anything happening in the future. The only thing that matters is, where do you put your X in the box if you turn up on the day? And even that doesn't really matter anyway, because most of the time areas have been decided for, since time immemorial. And so when we're going to look at these types of things, we have to understand that, do you really have a vote? Is it real that you have a vote? Well, it could be argued that you do, and certainly you should exercise your civic right to vote if that's what you want to do. But really, what impact do you have? Virtually nothing. No one's ever going to listen to you. No one's ever going to care about your viewpoints. And in fact, when you talk to your friends about politics, as you're talking to them, they're not really listening to you either. Just like you're not listening to them, just like you're waiting to put your point across about politics, because that's what politics is. It's tinged with pride and ego and thought and all of those types of emotions. But we don't want to get too deep into psychology today. What we're attempting to do is ascertain the amount of time that we should spend in our life wasting on politics, because I've just said there's nothing to do for the next 4 years. At some point in 4 years plus, you're going to go to your nearest school or wherever it is, your community centre, whatever it is, and you're going to walk in and you're going to place an X in a box. But that's not for 4 years. So, given that you already know who you're going to be voting for, the question that you have to ask yourself is, why even talking about it? Why wasting time doing it? Now, that's one way to put it. The counter-argument to that, of course, would be, well, let's say you were living in a time of upheaval, and you really had to watch the news and understand what was happening. Let's say you were living in Europe, in the 1930s, for instance, anywhere beside Germany, and it might have been a good idea for you to be keyed in and have a high degree of sense-making when you're reading the news, in order to know that you had to flee where you were living there before much longer. And so I'm sure there are times when you would have to be keyed into what's happening in politics. You could argue that, for instance, when Brexit was going on, that might have been a good time for you to be interested in politics. But in general, most of the time, it's a combination of he said this, she said that, no, they're lying, or they're not going to tell you the truth, or we're going to be getting our policies together soon, or, whatever it is. Whatever it is. It's mostly complete garbage. So really, what I'm talking about here is being ensnared in politics and spending your whole life watching politics and talking about it. And I'm talking about it, just from the sense of pride, really. Pride in yourself and pride in the fact that politics aren't going to take over the whole of your life. Think about it. You are like a small mouse. They are the kings and knights and ladies at the large table, and they're banqueting on the food of our money. And they're doing that at the table. And what you're doing is you're a little mouse there, and you're waiting for a scrap to fall off the table. And when it does, you'll gather that up and then call that a win. And that is basically your relationship to the government. And so that being the case, I would argue that you're better to have some pride and not wait for scraps to be dropped from the table, allow it to come down and just watch it impassively, because there's nothing really ever going to happen. And I'm sorry to say this, because I know that a lot of people do believe in the Reform Party, and that's good. And you can see what Donald Trump is accomplishing in America with his, a speedy business way of doing things. But the question of Nigel Farage, and is Nigel Farage and the Reform Party coming to save you? The answer to that is no. Is the Conservative Party coming to save you? The answer to that is no. Is the Labour Party, you know where I'm going? No. The Lib Dems, not the Greens, not any of the small independent parties. No one is coming to save you. Not even if you vote in a mayor that you like, or the local political party in your local council. They're not coming to save you either. The government and the local authorities view you a lot like a big fat cow, because you're a cow stuffed with money, and that you're called a cash cow. And it is a rather large cash cow, the public cash cow. And what the government does is the government will come in and milk us almost all day, every day. So where am I going with this? What's the point? What's it all about? It's important to understand the political system with which you live under. It's important to understand what your political choices are, and it's generally important for you to understand the country that you're living in and what's happening within it to a certain point. If you were to spend all day looking at that, you would drive yourself insane. If you were to spend 10 seconds looking at it, that's not enough. As a citizen, we have a duty to really keep abreast with current events and things that are happening, just so you are aware. But that time is something that you yourself can decide on. I would advise against just randomly consuming politics all over the place. What I would do is I would put politics into a box and say, I'm going to consume politics using this social media platform or that one during these times, but I'm certainly not going to allow politics into your life every second of the day, because it just drives you around the bend. As I say, I take events in politics extremely seriously. When something serious does happen, it's to be treated with the seriousness with which something is deserved. However, watching, for instance, Prime Minister's Questions, or watching any of these political shows on television where these politicians are stepping in between landmines, I find it to be more funny than anything else, and viewing it as an entertainment in some ways robs politics of its power that it has over the slaves of politics. In essence, it has a magical spell over most people, and in laughing at it and understanding it just to be an entertainment, if you like, just another show that you might watch on television, like a soap opera almost, you rob it of its power and thereby put it into the correct priority in your life. And I found that to be especially helpful. I'm going to keep a watch on everything, but I'm certainly not going to take anything over in an over serious mode, because as I say, I'm taking it in a light-hearted way and just approaching politics from the perspective of a casual observer using it for entertainment. You'll actually find that you absorb a lot more information in the area of politics, and you can come to a far more informed choice as to what your personal policy mainstays might be, other than just getting annoyed. Right, thanks very much for your time. Hope you have a good day. Bye bye.